Greetings everyone and welcome to a unique type of video on the channel. This is going to be how I prepare to play a card game. So normally when you play a card game, you can use whatever sleeves you want. Now, me personally, I like to use character sleeves. And if you're using character sleeves and you know that you need to oversleeve them, check with your local game store if they allow oversleeving. If they do not, then it's better to just use regular sleeves, Dragon Shield, Katana, Ultra Pro, whatever you like. If you're going to a one-time bigger event, I think Player's Choice, especially the older ones, are really good. But overall, for the standard player, I recommend you go get either Dragon Shield or Katana. Katana are a bit more expensive, but they are really good quality. Now, I'm going to do this from the perspective of beginner. So here I have a starter deck for Vice Shorts. It can be any video card game you want. It can be Yu-Gi-Oh! Magic, Pokemon, and the like. So I chose Vice Shorts because it's a game that I don't have much knowledge of, and that makes it easier to start the idea. So first we have our deck. I don't even know what series this is. Kansen Eagle Union. Oh, it's Azure Lane. Okay. So I should say this. I don't know anything about Azure Lane, so don't expect me to immediately start saying all the correct things about it. And then from here, what we're going to do is we're going to open our packs for sleeves, and we're going to start sleeving. Now, obviously, if you want to get into a competitive game, there are many resources, specifically the internet. Okay, if you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, make sure you look up the spreadsheet guides or the YouTube tutorials on the combos. If you're playing Magic the Gathering, learn how to make a steady mana curve, how to properly deck build, make sure to create synergies, look up some deck techs, because in that game they're called techs, not profiles, and so on and so forth. So the idea here is to explain proper setup, because one thing that I don't like and that I've seen a lot, especially with some of my remote duel contestants, is that they will often just have unsleeved cards, no mat, whatever. And that's not a slight at them. Sometimes they just don't really feel like it. But if you're going to be doing these remote duel style games, I do recommend you have a mat so that you can create a border for yourself, make it easier to edit, and also some sleeves so that your cards don't get damaged. In this case, because I don't understand anything about this series, I'll be able to look at this more from a gameplay perspective. And because I'm able to look at it from a gameplay perspective, I'm able to have a lot more fun with it. Now, the guy sold me this deck for $10, so I know for a fact there's no signed card in here, which is fine. I wasn't looking for one. And without the signed card, then so be it. Now, there are two types of artworks in card games. This is the one that's based on the artwork itself. Yu-Gi-Oh, on the other hand, I have a deck on me, is more based on the border. So the border is what takes precedent. Meanwhile, on these other types of card games, the image itself is what takes precedent. Now, I am not a competitive player in the slightest for Vice. I don't know much about the game at the highest level, but what I can tell you is that setup for all of these TCGs tends to be roughly the same no matter which game you're playing. And because of that, it's very stable and there's a lot of uniformity to it, which makes setting up quite ubiquitous no matter which game you're playing. Make sure you always look up the official rules ahead of time, practice a bit either on by yourself or with a simulator before going to an actual tournament, just to make sure that you can protect and obey the rules and customs so that everybody can have a fun game. Try to be respectful. I know that there are people who aren't very respectful. They're quite loud, rambunctious, rude, etc. But you don't want to be like them. You want to be one of the good people. Now, obviously, if they're your friends and you've known them for a long time, then you can be however you want. Especially if you're in America, because that's a free country. Yeah. Now, the reason I like character sleeves is because they allow you to demonstrate your enjoyment of a series outside of your game. So in this one, I'm using Izuna Hatsuse because I love No Game No Life. I think that the series is really fun, has a good story, there's a nice lore to it, the characters are exciting, they're nice to read about. Yeah, Sora kind of sucks, but everyone else is really good to read about, so it balances out in a way. I want to apologize for the audio issues of previous episodes on this channel, mostly because I didn't intend on that happening, that there was just issues with the cables, and now that I've gotten everything fixed, we should be good to go. Now, if you're on Remote Duel, which is something that was done a lot during the pandemic for any card game, one of the best things you can do is just have a nice little clean setup like the one I have here. If you really want to, you can have a duel mate, like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. I think Magic Arena also has this. What some people would do, and this is actually one of the cutest things I ever saw is in Yu-Gi-Oh! is up on this corner. Because nothing really goes on this corner, they would just have a figure of one of their favorite characters, either from Yu-Gi-Oh! Or whatever other series they like, and just have it there. If you guys play Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, you know why people do that, because it's fun. That's the truth. It's just a fun time. And I'll have it facing you guys. Don't do this at an in-person event, though. They're going to look at you like you're a weirdo, but, you know, in remote duel where people are more willing to do things, I think it's fine. Just, if you're going to be at an official event for a tournament, I wouldn't recommend doing this. This is more like for you guys and your buddies to do it, because it just shows some creativity. Make sure that if your game has tokens or any other requirements, that you have all the prerequisite materials to obviously play. So if you're playing Pokemon, make sure you have damage counters on you, or you can use pen and paper, but just make sure you have some way to keep track. You're playing Yu-Gi-Oh, keep a calculator on you. If you're playing Magic, keep a lot of dice on you, especially a d20, so that you can roll properly. Not roll, so that you can keep track of your life more easily. Now, obviously, the end-all be-all for a lot of these games is just pen and paper. However, a lot of new blood for these kinds of games doesn't really subscribe to that idea. I don't think they like the concept of pen and paper, because as I've gotten older, I see less and less people writing things with a pencil or pen. And it's a bit sad to me. Now, maybe that's just me, you know, being older, not really happy with how things have been changing as time progresses. I understand that. But at the same time, I mean, that's just how life is, right? There's not much you can really do to stop the change of time, and so on. Now, I must say that when it comes to these card games, I have heard a lot of different perspectives. I've met people who've dead serious told me at a card shop that they prefer playing Yu-Gi-Oh! With a bunch of strangers than hanging out with their own wives, which was one of the craziest sentences I've ever heard in my life. But, I mean, I kind of get it. These games are very fun, they're very addicting, they have cute characters on it, in this case of like Vice Shorts, or they have cool monsters like in Magic and early Yu-Gi-Oh! Or you just like the character design like Pokemon. Now, the new game that's going to come out soon, the Holo Card OCG, that game looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So I might do some videos of that on the channel. I'm going to tell you guys this right now. If you want to play against me in Vice Shorts, Yu-Gi-Oh! Or I guess those two for now, just to make it easy. If you want to play against me in Vice Shorts or Yu-Gi-Oh!, just hit me up on this channel. You know, leave me a comment. Tell me what application you would like to meet on. You could send me your Discord if you want. My email is in my channel bio. And I'll set up a game for you. I want to do this because I think playing cards is fun. That's really it. There's no real motive behind it. No monetary incentive, just because I like playing card games. Now, I must say that these art style for card games, the art comes first instead of border, like Weiss. I'm not too big on how these go. I'm a bigger fan of how Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon have been in the past. You know, Pokemon TCG, the border comes... This is relatively new. This is a Sword and Shield, but you get the idea. Or Magic the Gathering, where these cards look just so sick. I understand that, you know, times have changed. Not everybody wants to use the same style of border, and that the more modern border tends to be more popular with younger people. But, like I said, everybody has their own opinions. This is just my opinion and what I think regarding the idea of these kinds of borders in card games. Now, part of why Magic never became my de facto card game, even though there were many opportunities where that would have happened, is simply because I don't like the land system. I think that the concept of a land is not cool, that I have to dedicate deck slots to it. I would say Magic, but the thing is my Magic decks really suck, and I don't feel like playing Magic the Gathering. I'll let you guys know that the power level for Weiss, just, if you're going to play a competitive deck, just let me know ahead of time. I'm okay with losing, because I don't play these games because I want to win all the time. I play these games to have fun, interact with other people. So if you want to play like a premier meta deck, then so be it. I ended up really liking Weiss Shorts as a game as time progressed. I think that the games are too long, but mechanically it's pretty fun. Now, these packs, I gotta say, I got all of this for... This was 10, these sleeves were 30, these 3 were 20, and the deck was 10. So these card games are not cheap. I will say right now, there are certain things that men must do in their life. Playing card games competitively is not one of those things. I would never recommend playing a card game competitively to anybody. That's something that you have to decide for yourself. It's kind of like smoking. I would never recommend that you smoke. But if you smoke, and you smoke a lot, I'm not going to judge you. Okay, it's your money. Do whatever the fuck you want. That's life. And in the same way, I treat card games. Kind of like drugs or alcohol. Like, I will never recommend drinking alcohol to anybody, but if you want to drink and get drunk off your ass, go ahead. I won't stop you. I'm not your dad. Okay, so what is these names? Like San Diego. What is this? I'm letting you guys know right now that I don't know anything about Azure Lane. I just got these on a whim. That's the beauty of employment, though, that you can afford to buy things. If you're unemployed, you can't. And even if you are employed, if you're not in a good job, you won't be able to buy things anyways. Because expenses are a pain. But that's the thing. If anything, playing these sorts of games did motivate me as a kid to find employment really quickly. It motivated me to start making money. It wasn't any family values or the American dream or none of this. I want to make money so that I can enjoy my life. And right now, card games give me that joy. That's why I make money. Now, obviously, I do want a house. I do want to start a family. But I'm still young enough that I don't have to worry about that just yet. So, in theory, once you sleeve up your deck, what you're going to want to do is oversleeve it. But first, what I'm going to do is open these packs and see what I get. Start taking stuff out and putting stuff back in. So let's do this. Let's have some fun with this. I might do another Weiss chat game on the channel if you guys want it enough. I'm not going to make any goal or incentive. I'll just know. Don't worry about it. I have procured some scissors. Let's see how this goes. So first you're going to do is bend so that you know where the cards are exactly. And then you're going to want to cut above that. That way you never damage the cards. I remember a long time ago, somebody had an old Magic the Gathering pack, and he cut into it wrong. And he cut the Ancestral Recall. He cried. I saw a grown man cry that day. It's a very unsettling image. Okay, gentlemen, I don't play Weiss, so can anyone tell me if this is good or not? I'm gonna let you guys all know that I don't actually know how packs in this game work, so I don't know what you get typically. What I do see, however, is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I see 9 cards per pack. So it's pretty standard, I would think. Now, this is one thing about Weiss that I don't like. It's xenophobic deck building. It's actually one of my biggest issues with a card fight, with a buddy fight. Like, why can't I put certain guys in my deck because they have different flags? I hate that kind of stuff. I wish more games would take from Yu-Gi-Oh rather than Magic and just say, put whatever you want in your deck. Go ahead. Okay, I'll take out the shiny stuff first. So it's not a shiny card. So I guess normally you only get one. I don't know how these work. If something looks shiny, let me know. But I don't understand. See, this is part of what I mean with the new player experience for card games. Without the internet, playing card games blind is really weird. Because it creates a dynamic where you just don't know what's good or not until you play a lot. But the problem with card games in the USA as opposed to Japan is that, well, we only really have 3 games. We have Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, and Pokemon. There's Copers saying One Piece and Lorcana, but dude, every One Piece event I've been to has had like, and I don't mean the big ones, obviously the big ones are, you know, usually like 500 or so, but the ones that I go locally, they have like 4 people there. It's whatever. It's the same 4 people too. It's not even a rotation. So on and so forth. Lorcana always has 4 or less, so they don't even have tournament all the time. The only other one that people play is Vanguard, but man, Vanguard feels like RNG. What the hell is this? I don't know. Okay, let's separate them between characters and their levels. That way I have a better grasp of what I'm looking at. This is really cute. So now that you have your stuff open, you're going to want to start checking what you have. Now in Vice Short specifically, you're only allowed 8 of these in a deck. Stuff like that I just cannot jive with. I really cannot handle at a long term not being able to put whatever in my deck. Having these kinds of, like 3 of a card, 4 of a card, makes a lot of sense. Because you don't want to be in a situation where you're playing 20 Kai and Jigokus in Duel Monsters 1, and you just burn your opponent before they even get a turn. That's just a bit outrageous. Now, the good news is that... Did this even get this? Okay, I'm so lost as to how rarity in this game is determined, because I don't know if I got gypped on shiny cards or what, but it seems like I lost, so that I don't have enough shinies. So the next thing I'm going to do is deck build really quickly and come back with you. Okay, so this is another issue with Vice Schwartz that I've just noticed. Vice Schwartz has color restrictions, so if you want to play blue cards that are level 1 or above, you need to have cards of the same color in your level area and clock area to play them. So while it's possible to play a 2 or 3 color deck, a 1 color deck seems to be the most consistent. Now, given that I purchased a blue colored deck, these red colored decks are going to have... These red and green cards aren't going to be able to make it into the game. Which is sad, because I actually really like some of these cards. But I think what this will do is make it easier to tell what I can and can't put in. See, this is just one of those things where I wish that instead of Magic, they would take from Yu-Gi-Oh! Because Yu-Gi-Oh! I think gives you more freedom in deck building, so even if you build some absolute jank, you're still allowed to play said jank, and I do like that a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. That you don't get in other card games. Just some food for thought for anyone playing. So make sure that if you have any qualms about how to properly deck build, that you know exactly what you're getting into ahead of time. What I mean is that the deck I purchased is literally all blues. You can check what color they are down here. And as such, I am limited by what I can and can't put here. Which is a shame. It's a damn shame. But what that does mean is I know what I can and can't put out. So in reality, after 3 packs, I got the following 7 cards. So, obviously, I gotta read what these do. Now, to be honest, I'm not going to go so gung-ho into this because unlike Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Magic, I'm not crazy enough to immediately start saying to myself, I want to play a competitive deck off rip. That's just not the kind of person I am. Now, like I said, for other games like Yu-Gi-Oh, I would be. It's a shame how many cards they just give you that you can't use unless you want to play very risky and only use 1 of each color. I don't like that sort of thing. Thing is, I love me some card games, and that's the issue, right? To me, card games are just so fun. Okay. I'm guaranteed you that there's somebody out there who does play wise and understands deck philosophy at a higher level than me, who's just having a fun time right now. I can feel it. I can definitely feel it. So, is there any reason that you have to play specifically of the same series in your deck? I think that, without question, one of the most fun parts of it is actually throwing together your own wit at the game and trying to build what you can build. And by only opening packs, I'm doing this like how I used to do it back in the day as a kid. Because back in those days, we didn't buy boxes and we didn't have the entire card pool memorized. We just, every so often, we get some packs and play it out. Part of the issue with doing this, however, is that in order to really have a great idea of this, is you have to understand how the deck plays inherently so that you can start making modifications. Now, at the highest level, this isn't going to work because you need to make sure that you are able to understand the game at a higher level inherently. And due to that, you need to play a lot. And the issue is there isn't always someone to play with. Which sucks, I know, but I mean, that's life, right? Not everyone has time to just play card game after card game with you. And while I agree that it sucks, it's just a part of life. Given these are all 1-ofs, I'm just kind of tempted to take one of each of the 2-ofs out. Except for this one. I think this is the key card somewhere. Mostly because I want to experiment, okay? Once I actually play the game more, I'm probably going to be able to play better and theory craft at a higher level. Because that's the thing, these games are very complicated. Now, Vice doesn't seem too bad to play. Seems pretty fun. It's just one of those games that I have just for the sake of having. Because the thing is, I'm not really a fan of Azure Lane. I don't know anything about the series, by the way. I'm just going to let you guys know right now, so don't expect me to go into the lore or whatever. Because it's a fruitless endeavor. Fruitless. Get it? And now I realize so many of you are probably young enough that you don't get it. Which saddens me once again. Specifically, the reason I'm doing this with Weiss is to show you how daunting playing a TCG on your own can really be without any guidance. After playing a few games, I'll actually look into the game at a higher level and start theory crafting properly. But for now, we're just trying to see what we can do. What's with the state names? Can someone explain to me, like, Gridley, Long Island, South Dakota, Baltimore, San Diego? Genuinely, can someone just explain that to me? Because I don't get it. So the thing is, I know there are cards in this deck that do something with Gridley, so I'm probably going to need one. It's just such a weird name, you know? Like a really weird name. So this affects New Jersey. New Jersey. So whatever affects New Jersey, let me just look up. Let me just see what I have that's New Jersey. I don't think I have New Jersey in this deck. So I guess that's should be the replacement, because you always have to read your cards. Always read your cards before doing anything else. So I know I was kind of quiet there. I'll edit out to remove the silence. But that's just how it goes sometimes. So this is the famous Gridley. So I guess this is the card that I need. Voice looks cool. I do like this card's artwork. Just not too sure what to take out. I also like that it moves things. So the playstyle of this deck seems to be moving cards out of your waiting room into your hand. So in a way, it kind of plays with the RNG of it. And anything that, you know, mitigates RNG in card games to me is always cool. So no matter what, that's staying in. So San Diego's staying in, obviously. Long Island appears to be crucial to the game strat. So the question now is, given these are all cards that are supported by something else, the question now is, what in the deck doesn't go in response to these cards' names? Hornet's also a name, but let's check. Now, I'm willing to bet that these cards that specifically affect names are something that's related to the show or series that they're from. But like I said, I myself do not follow Azure Lane in the slightest. So that might be completely wrong or dead accurate. And the truth is, I wouldn't know. Now, what I do wonder with this sort of game is, what is the true appeal? Like, who is this game for? Who plays this game and says to themselves, oh yeah, time to have a great time? This is like a really cool supporter card. So I think I'm gonna... That's a 1 though. It's a 2, not a 1. I don't think there's anything wrong with that though. Getting rid of 1, 2 for a 1? I think that should be fine. And with that, we have powered up our deck with a packs. And this is the sort of thing that, you know, old school people for card games would used to do. We used to actually open packs and play like that. You wouldn't get that now in the modern day. Now everybody just buys their stuff online, looks up the best deck, and I think you know the drill. If you play card games at any reasonably high level, you know exactly how this goes. You know exactly how it goes. So the next thing you do is you want to take your oversleeves, for character sleeves, obviously. If you're not using character sleeves, and this step can be skipped. But given I am using character sleeves, let's go with it. You'll remove them. You'll look for which side is rough, and this is going to be the side that goes in the back. So now that you've done that, you just pick them up one at a time. And you put them in. Now, depending on what game you're playing, sometimes you're going to want to put the character sleeves in the other way. I put them in this way for the sake of uniformity. And while it does get rid of the clearness of the sleeves, you can still tell exactly who it is, you know exactly what artwork it is, and it gets rid of glare as well. Once you have your deck nice and sleeved, you're always going to shuffle it, and then you'll go talk to your opponent. You will either roll a die, play rock, paper, scissors, maybe roll 2 dice. And that's the idea of how you play these games. Now, I should note that I've learned that a lot of people play whites on a simulator rather than playing it in paper, which I do think sucks, but, well, what are you going to do, right? Nothing really. So that's it for today's video, guys. Have a nice day.